I guess we could go to Goron City. And then we're done all the Divine Beasts. But I'm not gonna want to do the entire Goron path because fuck that. It's so annoying. Yeah, these are the hot springs. And I don't remember if I don't think there's any shrines along the way. Oh no, those are the hot springs. Because here's the problem with... Here's my problem, right? So you look at the four main areas. The Rito is like the only one that doesn't really have any problems. Like, oh, good night, Michelle. I do need to go to bed soon. But like, I want to talk about this for a moment because like, look at Zora's Domain, right? You find, I get that it's the tutorial area, right? I get that. I think that's fucking stupid, but I get it. Because this is not a game that needs a tutorial. Because you already did a tutorial. You did it over here. This was your tutorial. But anyways, so you get here. And you get this tower because you're gonna get the tower. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, go side. And oh, you gotta go all the way up this fucking long-ass path, right? You gotta go all the way to here. And you get to Zora's Domain. You talk to the king and they're like, oh, you're here to help us? Great. Oh, here's this armor that you're gonna need. Oh, wait, this guy is pissy. You gotta go talk with him and convince him and you get the memory. That's fine. But then he's like, oh, you gotta go get the shock arrows and then you gotta climb all the way up here. And if you weren't, cool like me, you'd have to go all the way up here and go all the way here and you fight a dude up here and then you gotta go down here and you gotta do the Divine Beast. Like, it's just so much. It's so much extra, specifically because you have to walk the path. If you just got to find your way to Zora's Domain on your own and end up there, that would be fine. But then also, that's proven completely wrong because they did the same fucking thing for the Goron City. You have to go up this long-ass path through Death Mountain. You go all this fucking way just to get here. And then, you get there and they're like, oh, well, you need, oh, Yunobo's missing. Yeah, we gotta find Yunobo. And he's like over here. I don't actually remember where he is. He's somewhere over here. So you gotta go find, yeah, he's like here. That's Yunobo, I think. You gotta go get Yunobo. You gotta save him. And then you gotta go back to Goron City. And they're like, oh, now you're here to fight the Divine Beast? Oh, well, Yunobo's the only one that can get up there because we shoot him like a fucking cannonball. Which is also inhumane, right? So then you gotta go fucking with Yunobo. And you gotta walk him all the way up the mountain. That's right, baby. You thought walking up fucking Zora's Domain was bad? You gotta walk up Yunobo up the mountain. And Yunobo's a bitch. Like, you don't even see the path. It's like here, and I think it goes like here. Yeah, it's kind of like outlined. I think you gotta get all the way to here before you finally just get to go up the mountain and do the Divine Beast. Like, it's so extra. It's so much. And then with the Gerudo, it's also very extra. Like, it's not, but somehow it just feels more natural. But also it doesn't. Like, I think about it and I'm like, yeah, it's like, I think the Gerudo being extra because of their, like, culture makes it, I don't want to complain in a song. I'm on a rant. Let me just complain. I gotta answer somebody really quick. I'm like in the swing and y'all make me... No! Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the counterspell, right? I appreciate that. Hi, Mad! Welcome to the stream. I'm ranting. I'm yelling about Zelda. So, right, here's the deal. You find your way to the desert, right? And you're already kind of put in this weird, awkward obstacle of, like, the heat. And there's, like, you can travel at night, but then it's really cold, which fits for a desert. This is also one of the hardest, I think it's designed to be the hardest area in the game, but it's not the hardest to get to, which is so confusing. Because you get through here, like, the weather is your biggest obstacle. So you get there, permissions for what? Mad can Kilo have permissions? He's not gonna consent to something without knowing what it is. Don't do it, Mad. Chat was trying to get me to peg you at 50 viewers again. Okay, so like, I need to continue my rant. So like, you go through here, and you pass through this bazaar, and you're like, oh cool, you get a memory probably, and then you keep going, right? You keep going, you get to Gerudo Town, they're like, oh no, you can't come in, because you are a female. But they also tell you about that back here. So, but they also say, oh, there's a guy, we sent one of our guys. And when you get to the outskirts, he's like, yeah, there's this woman, she sneaks in from the bazaar. So, here's the problem. You go all the way back to the fucking bazaar. You gotta walk all the way back. Which, it doesn't look like that much, but it's a pretty fucking, it's a trek. So you walk back, and then you have to find the guy on the roof. And I'm pretty sure they tell you where he is, but like, oh, you gotta find the guy, Elite throwing down the truth. Non-informed consent doesn't count. Exactly. I'm commissioning engineer. There's no way in the fuck. But, so you get there, and then you get the armor. And by that point, you would have gotten the shrine, so you could teleport back. Here's my problem. Put a shrine here. You have 120 of them. Just move one there. You win. That's all you had to do. And it's like, oh, why would you put two shrines so close together? Like, that's so stupid, Kilo. I'd like you to consider that the tower and the Divine Beast are right next to each other and act as teleport points. I'd like to zoom out on this map and show you that there are 3 on Dueling Peaks alone. They can put shrines close to each other. So then, but then here's the thing, right? You go back to Gerudo Town, you can finally have an audience with the chief, and then she's like, okay, but we can't do anything until the Yiga clan's taken care of. So then you gotta go all the way to the middle of fucking nowhere. Up here. To the Yiga clan hideout. And then you do like a mini dungeon, which is pretty cool. Bye, Void, have a good evening. It's like a mini dungeon. So that's actually kind of interesting, right? It could act as the same principle of fighting the Lionel. Except for you can skip the Lionel. You can't skip this, which I actually think is neat. I think this is probably the best execution of what they were trying to do with the other areas. Except for just put a fucking shrine there. It's not that hard. So then, you go back, you just teleport back, right? It's so simple. You teleport back, and you go back in the Gerudo Town. And you go and you do the Divine Beast, which is somewhere over here at the time. And I think it's the best executed of the 3 that kind of do this structure. I think the Yunobo one is the fucking worst one. And it's probably because just Yunobo has the worst Divine Beast puzzle to get to it. It's just the worst. Just fuck Death Mountain, right? And then we have the Rito, which doesn't follow the pattern at all. Because the other 3 have a very similar structure of you have to do a long path to the city. You get to the city. You get a second quest. You go do the second quest. You come back. You have to get something to go to the Divine Beast. I think the only one you don't have to do that for is Yunobo. Actually, no. You don't have to do it for the Rito either. But then you go and you do the Divine Beast fight. Right? Pretty standard. Pretty bog standard. With the Rito, to my knowledge, there's nothing blocking you from getting here. Unless you, like, somehow come from, like, over here? And then you have to, like, fly over it. But you would just walk. Like, there's a very clear path. Like, there's no... Like, it's not hard to get there. Right? So it's like, okay. But then you get there, and they're just like, yeah... Like, the Divine Beast shot, like, you have to figure out, I think, where the guy is. Like, you get to the Elder, and he's like, yeah, the only guy who could probably do that is this, but you should talk to his wife. And you talk to his wife, and she's like, yeah, he's probably at the flight range. And so you go to the flight range, and he's like, I don't know if I could, like, if you could help me, you gotta take down these targets. You do a target shoot, and it takes, like, 5 seconds, and he's like, oh, wow. Fuck Death Mountain. Rito is the least developed, yeah. Because it's so different. It's like the fucking Silver Snow run of Fire Emblem Three Houses. So you go and you do the arrow shoot, and then he's like, oh yeah, you seem competent. Here's some bomb arrows. Let's go. Like, we're just gonna go. And do it. And then you do the Divine Beast. And it's the easiest Divine Beast fight. So if you're saying, like, this is the tutorial, why isn't this the tutorial? Divine Beast Varuda, that entire thing with the fucking Zora, is 10 times more complicated than whatever the fuck the Rito's got going on. And maybe it's they just ran out of time, right? But no, they didn't. They had like a 7-year development cycle. Maybe they were finally getting sick and decided to rush it, right? But like, Nintendo has gone on record multiple times saying they're not going to release a rushed game. They're going to just they're not going to release a bad rushed game. They're just going to keep developing it. This is the best Kilo content. I am fucking so tired. I have reached, I should end stream, but I am unhinged. I am fucking ready to go. Right? So just like, I don't get it. I don't get why this one is so bad. And yet these two are good, but they're good for different reasons. This one's good because it's simple. Like, let's be real here. The real challenge is the Divine Beast. That is the dungeon. That is the puzzle. But this one is good because you get like 2 dungeons for the price of 1. This one sucks because you have to walk up a long fucking path and fight a ton of enemies, which if you're into the combat, I guess that's fine. But even then, you get like this cool mini boss fight, but it's also optional. So why would you do it when you can, unless you haven't like unlock the rest of the world, which is also, I guess, the only reason I could see you not doing this. But no, if I could just fucking teleport to Gerudo Town and buy 20 shock arrows, why would I not do that? But also, like, I guess if you don't have that, you have to go up the mountain, but why would you fight the Lionel? Why wouldn't you just stealth and get the arrows? Right? Didn't they say each Divine Beast area does its own thing? But it doesn't! That's the problem, is that it doesn't. There are 3 things that are all so similar that they're like a consistent enough pattern of you have an arduous travel to the town, you do a side thing, you go fight the Divine Beast. Like, it's not go for the throat. I love that Nintendo finishes stuff. Yeah, Nintendo's great. I think keep going. Like, I don't get it. Right? Because ultimately, it is the same thing with a different coat of paint. And this one is if you mix the paint with milk. It's not paint anymore. They all do that. No, they didn't say each divine. No, they don't, because you don't. There's no long, arduous path to Rito. The long, arduous path is you have to walk up these fucking bridges. That's not, like, that is, like, what, 2 cursors width? You know how long the fucking Zora path is? For the same distance? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it's too fucking long. Like, that's 2 zooms. 2 zooms. Like, then what would you change? That's the problem, is I don't even know. Because what I like about the Gerudo one is it feels unique compared to the other 2, but it also feels the fucking same. I think what you would need to change about it is you would need, 1, you just get rid of the fucking path to the Zora. I think that's so stupid. Like, I get it, it's because, oh, Varuda's crying and making the land hard to travel. Cool. Don't make me walk up this fucking zigzag path that has, like, 2 stones of lore. You know what you could do? You could make it, like, just cut out all the fucking zigzags. It's so overcomplicated. As well, like, I'm sure it's meant to, like, endear you to Sidon. Sidon is the most endearing side character other than, like, Ryu. Actually, no. Sidon, all of the side characters are actually pretty endearing, except for fucking Yunobo. And that's just because Yunobo sucks. Nobody likes Yunobo. I don't know. I feel like I would cut down this path, and I would make the Lionel mandatory. Like, I don't know how you would do that, but don't make it optional. Right? Because then it just feels like I've skipped a large amount of content. which can be rewarding in its own right, but I also think that if you're going to put something like that in, and you want to give the player a difficult combat challenge, make them do it. Like, let's be real here. The only one that has an optional side, like a mandatory side dungeon and a mandatory boss fight is the Yiga clan hideout. And it's rad as fuck. You fight Master Koga and it affects the world afterwards because then the Yiga clan just want to kill you because you killed their master. That's rad as fuck. Do something like that again. Do that for every single one. Do 2 like, people complained about the lack of dungeons in this game, right? That was their biggest complaint. And it's not even really a dungeon, it's just a stealth mission. So do, like, something like that for each one. Give, like, maybe make, like, the climb to the Lionel. Like, take away this big, long fucking walk. And maybe put, like, I don't know. Maybe make it, like, a Lionel den. Where, like, there's, like, some puzzles or, like, some, like, hidden mechanics that you have to, like, or hidden paths that you have to figure out to get to the Lionel's, like, horde. And that's where the shock arrows are. But before you get to that, you have to fight him. Like, make it a dungeon. Make it, like, a dragon cave, right? Make it, like, a D&D dungeon. And then, I don't know, for fucking the Rito, I really don't know what I would change with the Rito. I would watch this in YouTube form. Maybe I'll cut this down and edit. Maybe I'll make a video essay or something on it. I don't know. I thought about doing a Breath of the Wild essay, but this is just unhinged. Maybe I'll just edit it. The Lionel is hard, and I think the Zora domain is building up skills for combat. I mean, I guess, but also, like, it's just so much. It's so stupid. So each one challenges the player in combat. I think the Rito need more plot. I think the Rito need more plot, but I also think the Rito... I don't know, the Rito needs something, but I can't figure out what. I think maybe... Well, the Rito fly, right? Like, they have paths so Hylians can get to them, right? But what if you, like... What if you needed to climb? Like, add, like, use the stamina mechanics. Maybe that's how you make it more difficult. Because, like, let's be real here. If they're trying to get you to do the Zora first, which I think is bullshit either way in an exploration game that's encouraging you to explore the world. Yes, this is where people are going to head mostly first, but I also think that's garbage because most people are going to go to Hanateo. And then they could head up, but there's a huge fucking snow mountain in the way. So I don't know if I actually believe that most people are going to go to Hanateo first. Also, this path here is super fucking chock full of enemies. Like, it's so full of enemies that I also don't think players are going to particularly go there. I need to go here at some point. While I'm thinking of this. There's a cast shrine there. So, like, maybe make you climb for it. And then, like, after you do the target range, maybe he's like... There's some sort of challenge you have to do with firing arrows. Because the Rito are the bow people, right? Like, they clearly, like, are more skilled with arrows and things like that. I think it's a preference on your end, which isn't bad. I like getting the house island to get the male Gerudo gear. I like getting the house island to get the male Gerudo gear. Because minus the domain, you did bypass the Lionel. I did bypass the Lionel, yeah. What do you mean the house island to get the Gerudo gear? I'm confused about that. True, this is a great reason to subscribe with Prime, right? But, like, I'd have to think on the Rito. I'd have to think of a better thing for the Rito. I think Death Mountain, because the challenge of Death Mountain is getting up Death Mountain, right? The point of it is, like, you get set on fire somewhere around here. If we were doing it correctly. It's somewhere around here. Which is what the challenge of Death Mountain is. However, I also just think that's annoying. Like I said, with that dune at the end of the merch stores, you can buy male Gerudo gear. Okay, but you can also buy it from Gerudo Town. That's where I got it. I think that also makes sense that you could do the tailor. It's one of the sons. But you can also just buy it from Gerudo Town. Like, that's not the only way to do it. I do like the Traverse Town. No, Terrytown. It's Terrytown. I also really like Terrytown. I think that's a really good element of the game. And I think that gives you, also encourages you to engage with the communities because you have to find the person from each one. I think that's really cool. Okay. How do you fix the Gorons? Because ultimately you kind of can't fix Yunobo. He's kind of just the dopey one. And I don't mean that as, like, I kind of mean it as an insult, but I kind of don't. Like, he's just kind of, like, he's meant to be comic relief, but he's also meant to just be scared and hiding behind the shell, which is the point. Do I think he should be the butt of a joke as you literally fire him out of a cannon? No. However, I get what they were trying to do with him. I think to fix Yunobo, make it... One, I don't think you should walk up with him with Death Mountain. I think that's stupid. I don't think you should be firing him out of a cannon to shoot the Divine Beast. I think that's stupid. I like that they're using the fact that you can shoot him out of a cannon for that. Do that somewhere else. Do that maybe... I think you do it once here to, like, set him... No, you don't even do it to set him free. He's just stuck in here. Maybe do something with him. Maybe it's, like... You get to Goron City and they're like, oh, this thing is happening. And, you like, Yunobo's the only one that can help us, but, like, nobody... We're out of bombs. Like, we've run out of bombs. I don't know if that's a thing they've done in Zelda before, because typically the Gorons are, like... Maybe, like, it's the... monsters are, like, holding our supply lines. We can't get more bombs. Come up with something, right? And we need to... So we can't actually fire Yunobo. But Link has his Sheikah Slate, can fire bombs. Link can help them out. Goes with Yunobo. You use the shooting Yunobo mechanic. And maybe that's how, like, you help Yunobo build up his confidence. So he'll come up Death Mountain with you to fight the Divine Beast. But, like, don't have him walk up and fire out of a cannon. That's stupid. It's a stealth... See, I complained about... I like having the stealth mission here, but I hate having the stealth mission with Yunobo, because having a stealth mission with an NPC that you control by whistling is fucking dumb. I think you could maybe do it here with the cannons, and it would still be frustrating, but it wouldn't be Divine Beast. Also, all the Divine Beasts so far have been you firing an arrow at them. So to change it and have you firing a character seems... It's disconnected. You're trying to use... You're using repeated mechanics, and then you change it. You have to stick... Like, if you're going to repeat what you're doing to beat into the player's head that this is how these work, this is what the Divine Beasts sort of are, these are your dungeons, stick with your principles, don't change it. I don't know, Breath of the Wild strength is flexibility and adaptability, so I think some of the things you want to change alter that, because there's no reason not to go to Rito Village first. There's never no reason not to go to Rito Village first, though. Right? Like, there's never no reason, because Rivali's Gale is just the best, but that's why I'm saying, like, lock it behind a stamina wall. If you want to encourage the player to go to Lanayru first, have them not be able to get there. And does that discourage you from exploration? Yes and no. Because if I find a fucking wall I can't climb, you sure as hell bet I'm gonna be curious as fuck and want to come back there. Right? Like, I'm gonna want to get that. Like, it confuses me. Because this game has such good exploration mechanics, and has such good, like, world building. But then I feel like half of the time these domains just shit the bed. Like, I fucking hate Lanayru. I hate Zora's domain. I fucking hate Eldon. But I love Gerudo, and I fucking love Tabantha. They don't have a name. I think it's Tabantha. I think it's in this part of the map that I haven't unlocked yet. Yeah, because this is Necluda, and this is fair. It's gotta have a name. It's gotta have a name. I just don't have it, clearly. I disagree with that sentiment. I think you don't change the dungeon flow. It's kind of boring. If they don't change the dungeon flow. Okay, but I'm not saying you don't change the dungeon flow. I'm saying you keep, like, 3 pillars, right? So you have the 3, like, things that are always the same, but you change what's happening around them, which is already what they're doing, but they change it too much. is their problem. Like, you've got the travel to the town, the doing something for the town to prep for the Divine Beast fight. But in one of them, they change how they do the Divine Beast fight. In one of them, they eliminate the travel to the town. And in, I think, 2 of them, you can skip the prep for the Divine Beast. So what's the fucking... Like, you're mixing it up in a way that breaks my flow. It breaks the gameplay flow. Because I don't feel like there's any build-up. Like, for Rito Village, right? We got that done in, like, an hour? All the build-up to that? I think we got... Once we actually got to Rito Village, I think we had the Divine Beast beat in an hour. Maybe hour and a half, right? It was definitely one stream. I'd have to look at the VOD. Zora's Domain, what? It took us an hour to get to Zora's Domain, and then an hour today. Probably Elden will take a full stream. If not 2. Gerudo, I think we did over the course of 2 streams. Maybe I got distracted and did some other stuff. If we cut the path, it was probably 2 to 3 hours. I think mixing it up is on purpose. It makes each domain its own thing. It does, but it also... Like, it just breaks the flow. Like, I see what you're saying. Yes, you want to break it up, but it breaks it up in a way that isn't... I think each dungeon should be grander and do your own thing. Because the pillars are there. Yeah, the pillars are there, but they... It's like if you have 4, like, kinds of cake. And you kind of want the cakes to be their own thing. Like, they're all their own flavor. They've all got different kinds of icing. But they're part of, like, a series, right? So, like, you're presenting these 4 cakes. And you want them to be similar enough to each other that they feel consistent and they fit the brand, but they're also... You want them to feel unique. So you present, like, a vanilla cake, with vanilla icing, and maybe, like, I don't know, a flower on top, or a cherry. We'll say a cherry, right? And you're like, oh, wow, okay, so you've got these 3 things. You got the cake, you got the icing, you got the cherry. Cool. And then, so let's say, for example, that's Lanayru. You've got the cake, which is the walk. You've got the build up at the domain. Actually, no, it can't be Zora's Domain. Let's say it's Gerudo. Gerudo is the best one, in my opinion. So you've got the cake, which is you're heading to the town, you go back and forth. You've got the icing, which is the Yiga hideout, and then you've got the cherry on top, which is the fight with the Divine Beast, right? That's a cake. The next cake is a chocolate cake, but there's no cake. There's no cake. And honestly, there's like a little bit of icing, but it's actually just mostly a cherry on the plate. And you're like, okay, this isn't a cake. There's no cake. There's no... Where did the cake go? And you're like, oh no, it's still there. It's like maybe like a crumb. And you're like, okay. And that's the Rito. And then you go to Lanayru, and it's a fucking huge slice of cake. It's like slightly bigger. It's pretty big. It's slightly bigger than Gerudo, which is fine. People like different sizes of cake. It's a red velvet cake. It's got no icing. Maybe like a little bit of cream cheese icing, but it's like, you know how you have like the double layer cake? There's like a layer of cream cheese icing in the middle. Actually, no, there's just cream cheese icing on the top. And you can like scrape it off if you choose to. Not in the middle. There's no cake. There's no icing in the middle. And then there's a cherry. No, wait, the cherry... Yeah, there's a cherry. Right? So you're like, oh, okay. Where's the icing? Like, these are supposed to be similar. But you're taking out elements. And now I don't recognize these as being part of, like, the same series of cakes. And you're like, okay, but look at the last one. And then you've got, once again, pretty big piece of cake. Pretty big piece of cake. There's icing. Let's say it's like, I don't know. Is there a different kind of cake? strawberry like an angel food cake. And the icing is like whipped cream, but it's still there. Like, there's still icing, right? There's still icing. You're like, oh, okay. And then you look on top, and it's a bunch of sprinkles. No fruit. It's completely different. And it's like, these aren't the same thing. They're close. You could maybe justify that they're tied together loosely, like I have been. However, what I would like, and maybe this is just my preference, right? I'm me. I'm allowed to be biased. Maybe I would like just a cake with icing and some sort of topping. It maybe like the same kind of like a fruit. It doesn't have to always be a cherry. Maybe mix it up a little bit, like they do with the different kinds of arrows. I actually do like that. I like that for 3 of them, you use different kinds of arrows. No, for 2 of them, you use bomb arrows. I would actually like if you mixed it up and had a different kind of arrow be the focus. I think it actually makes sense that the Gerudo one, you use bomb arrows, because it's designed to be one of the more difficult areas, so it makes sense that you use bomb arrows. Shock arrows make sense because you're in the rain. Maybe ice arrows would be good for, no. Fire arrows ice arrows would be good for Gorons. Fire arrows would be good for, Rito. Sorry, I've been ignoring chat. You go to the village, go to the dungeon boss, and there's boss fight. But sometimes there's not that dungeon puzzle bit. Everything else is arbitrary, but yeah. I see what you're saying, but sometimes, like, it doesn't, I don't know. I'm biased. It doesn't make sense to me. They take out important shit, and it just doesn't, we have not touched the game in a while. I've just been rambling. I've been rambling for half an hour about this. It just does not, it doesn't click for me. It doesn't. Maybe I'm basic. Maybe I just like my games to be repeat. But I also think that this game is a great entry level game and plays a lot of different skill sets and experiences for playing games. For more experienced players. It could be 3, 2, 1. Hi, Evil Cereal. I think...
Hi, welcome to Chili's.
Oh, shit. Hi. Thank you for the raid. I'm getting ready to end stream probably, but I appreciate that. I appreciate the raid. Thank you so much. How was Ghost Recon? I've been yelling about Breath of the Wild's game mechanics for about half an hour. I honestly wish the Divine Beasts weren't the dungeons for the game. They could have done so much more thematically with each dungeon, though sticking with the same vibe. See, that's kind of what I'm saying, though. Like, look at the Yiga Clan hideout, right? Was fun, played with friends. Heck yeah. That's exciting. Like, look at the Yiga Clan hideout, right? Look at it. That is a great dungeon. You flesh that out a little bit more. Maybe add, like, a puzzle or 2. I want to post Elden Ring Kilo Rant. I need to finish playing Elden Ring. Like, maybe put Eventide Island as a fucking mini side quest. Maybe fucking Yunobo went out to Eventide Island and got lost. Like, make that something, right? Like, you have these things in this world that are so cool to go find. Like the Yiga Clan hideout. Like Eventide Island. But they're cool mini dungeons that aren't actually dungeons. Because the dungeons are considered to be the divine beasts. But put a dungeon before it. Like, just do 2 dungeons. It wouldn't be that hard. Like, I came up with one for the fucking... I really don't know what one for the Rito would be, and nor do I fully have one for the Gorons. But, like, make the Lionel actually mandatory. I like that it's optional because it gives the player freedom to approach the situation how they want, but, like, it would be so cool if it was mandatory. I want to go fight the Lionel, but both times I've played this game, I don't have to. And I'm not going to go out of my way to do a fucking hard fight that, honestly, at this point, I might be too overpowered to even have any difficulty with. But also, I know I'm playing Master Mode, and I don't want to go fucking waste all my resources on a fight that I don't have to do, right? Make it mandatory. Make me care. Fair, I think that's the direction of Breath of the Wild, too. I really hope that's the direction of Breath of the Wild, too. For the love of science, I love this emote. I cannot see. Oh, wait, is it the... Oh, it's the Bender. No, that's not Bender. That's Fry. The Fry Stair. Like, I get it. Maybe I am looking for a more elevated experience. Maybe this is very entry level. However, I also don't think this game is... Like, this game is rated what? Is this game rated T for teen? It's E10+. Okay. But I also don't think... I don't think games should hold players' hands to be entry level. I think the great plot... Fuck. I've been talking all day. I think the Great Plateau shines because it is good at establishing what the skills the player will need to get through the world. I think up until Kakariko Village, this is a solid tutorial. Because it continues. Like, you kind of get the tutorial on how to do the wind. You get the dueling peaks, which is like showing you, oh, these are maybe some puzzles you might encounter. You might have to remember things. But also, it introduces like, oh, you're gonna want to explore everything, right? You're gonna have to, and then this one is like, oh, you can drop from heights. There's a stable right here, so you know those are involved, and there's always going to be a shrine near the stables. And then you go to Kakariko, and there's a combat tutorial. I don't think the tutorial should continue on beyond this. And if you do want to continue it, it's going to continue on when they head towards Hanateo. Which introduces, like, the apparatus and, that's basically it. No, there's not even really a tutorial on the way here. I think you encounter your first Yiga clan member, and that's maybe about it. And you could do that later on, too. Like, I think... And then also, on Mount Lanayru is where you get introduced, like, they kind of tease the dragons and, like, how you could shoot them. But also, you can go to Faron and find I think it's Faroche? You can find Faroche just fucking flying around. I don't know if you have the instinct to shoot him, which is kind of what's introduced here. But I figured out what was going on with him down here. Like, there's places, like, this area, this stretch of the map, I see why they have this as a tutorial. I see why they kind of limit the tutorial to here. I don't think the tutorial should spread upward any farther. I don't think that makes sense. I don't see why we should continue to coddle and hold the player's hand as they continue to move forward. I do think it makes sense that a lot of players will go from here to here. Because you can see that one from here. It's the island. And then you see a tower and you're going to want to go there. However, I also don't think it's unreasonable for the player to get to here and be like, oh, well, I got to go to Hanateo. We're going to go all the way back. Oh, there's stuff happening here. Oh, I can see these shrines off in the distance. Let's go there. But the tutorial doesn't continue down here. So we can't expect the player to have their hand held beyond this point. I don't think it's fair to expect that. Another thing is, it doesn't have massive spikes in difficulty. Expect enemies. Yeah, I think this game succeeds in flow very well. I think this game is good at flow, but I also don't think... I don't know. I don't think difficulty is something this game specifically is great at. Because the problem with this game's flow is that once you have more than, like, 7 hearts, which is, it's pretty high. Like, how many hearts do we have right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Actually, probably 6. Once you have, like, you've gotten a couple shrines under your belt, you've got maybe half a wheel of stamina and a few extra hearts, you're kind of good. Like, it's very rare an enemy's gonna one-shot you after that point, and the only ones I say would be the Guardians and maybe a Lionel. Like, and maybe the white level enemies. But also, only in Master Mode are those ones really common. I don't think it's hand-holding to try and teach the player the flow of the Divine Beast, but I don't understand what it's teaching you about the flow here. Because you're breaking the flow with every other Divine Beast. That's why I'm trying to communicate, is like, you're breaking the flow. Like, there's not going to be somebody to hold your hand through the Elden path. There is no path in Zora's domain, And there's also a very clear-cut path to Gerudo Town, but you have to go back and forth a million times. Like, and I think that's a good way to mix it up. I think if you added a path to Rito Village, that would be a good way to mix it up. But I also don't want your hand held through by Sidon. I think it's a good show of character from Sidon. However, if I'm doing Zora's Domain last, it doesn't make sense. For a game that encourages exploration, I don't understand why they feel the need to hold your hand. Or maybe it's even just a matter of the game recognizing when you've been to another domain or another area and being like, oh, okay, maybe Sidon's not there. And if the player questions it, maybe, like, if the player's, like, between playthroughs is like, oh, why wasn't Sidon there this time? You could just have, like, a line of dialogue that's like, my father called me back. Like, that's all you, like, maybe it's not safe. That's all you have to do. Like, it's not... I don't think I'm suggesting, like, massive change. I had a thought and I've lost it. Oh my god, my brain might have just melted. But I think, like... I think that, if you add a path to Rito Village, I think that's fine. But then, it's what happens after that. Because, like... The reason I love going to the Yiga Clan hideout is because it's so different. But it's also the best one. It's the most engaging. Because I don't want to go fucking shoot Yunobo out of a cannon. I don't care. I don't care about Yunobo. And maybe that's just me. But also, like, the Yunobo side bit is so short and it's so stupid. And it does not endear me to him at all. Going to the flight range and shooting a couple arrows and then immediately being done with that. That's not endearing to me. They feel so rushed. They feel so short-lived. And the Lionel's got, like, the beginnings of something awesome. But it's just falls short. The only one that feels fully realized out of these four, in terms of, like, the thing you do before the prep, is the fucking Yiga. And it's great. Thank you for the hydrate. User experience showed them people more often with the Zora, because Zora also gives you extra hearts, which is useful early game. Yes! But do players know that? Like, ultimately, like, yeah, we could say, like, oh, they're doing it because there's extra hearts. We don't know the players know that. On a first playthrough, I didn't go to Zora's Domain. In hindsight, would I have maybe on a first playthrough? If I'd known that, potentially, because I might have looked at and been like, oh, more hearts versus more height, or versus more damage? Maybe. I don't know. I also think Mipha's Grace is probably one of the better ones. I think all of the champion gifts are actually really good in their own right. I think they're all very unique. I think they all fit the champions very well. I think Daruk's protection is maybe the weakest of the four, and I only say that because it's just very bulky visually. It's the most visually annoying. Maybe I just fucking hate Death Mountain. Maybe I'm just bitter to Death Mountain. That could be what this is. But, like, something about it just isn't right. Something in Death Mountain is not right, and it's something that plagues all of them. And it's just frustrating. It is also 12:30. Holy shit, I need to go to bed. I'm clearly... Maybe we'll talk more about this. I have spent 40 minutes of this stream rambling. Music. And, like, I'm down to continue, like, potentially down to continue doing so. I have to be awake and showered in 8